What's going on, guys? It's the Bigs Podcast, episode number 76, and this is part two. Today, we're going to talk about the week that was in week 6. And with me this evening, Benjamin Nisman. It is a 1:45 in the morning. You have a brand new camera, and we are here to do week 6. How you feeling tonight, buddy?
Feeling great, man. It's 12:45, but it doesn't really feel that way right now, at least. And always excited to be breaking down another week, man. It's going quickly. 6 weeks through. We're almost done with the first group of guys that you're going to play twice throughout the season, and it feels like it's only yesterday that it was opening day. So really looking forward to reviewing this one, man, because we had a lot of really interesting matchups. Still a ton of flip-flopping in the standings as expected, and just a lot more crazy shit to come. So lead us off, my friend.
Let's get going, boys. It is week 6, and the first matchup we have here. Quite a surprise team, and somebody I'm sure that we're about to talk about quite in depth. James McCloskey taking a 12-9 win, Benny.
Like you said, a surprise team coming out of the gate. But obviously, he's been an incredible drafter since he's joined us in 2014. And, this is exactly what he's expected to do now that he's put together exactly what he thinks is a premier playoff potential team.
No doubt, no doubt. And we'll talk about the trade that I completed with him next week. But for right now, on Sunday in this matchup, RBIs were tied, and James took that. James did, however, have a 1 strikeout lead, and Matt took that back. Close categories, James wins by the triple, the 2 RBIs, 2 wins, 2 losses, 2 saves, 2 walks by a pitcher. Matt won by 4 strikeouts by a pitcher, and they did not tie in anything. For James on his bench this week, Benjamin, it's a 4 for 13.
Okay. 322.
It's 308. With 3 runs, 2 doubles, 2 RBIs, a steal, 3 strikeouts. None of it plays. So great job, James. Way to really batten that thing down and make it happen. For his transactions this week, he dropped Manuel Margot and Adam Duvall. He added Yainer Diaz, 0 for 3 with 2 strikeouts. He dropped Yainer Diaz for Michael Garcia, 0 for 3 with a walk. Added Joey Wendell, 0 for 4 with a strikeout. He dropped both of those guys for Brett Wisely, 1 for 4. He added Ryan Noda, 0 for 3 with a walk and 3 strikeouts. He added Josh H. Smith, 0 for 2. He dropped Brett Wisely for Tony Kemp, 0 for 3. He dropped Noda, Kemp, and Smith for Leody Taveras, 1 for 3 with an RBI. He added Kevin Kiermaier, 3 for 4 with a run, 2 doubles, a steal, and a strikeout on his bench. And finally on Sunday, added Jan Gomes, 0 for 3 with a strikeout. He used 10 of them.
Oh, man. This is just a plethora of horrible ads. I'm not saying that I could have done any better, but I mean, if this was you or me or Mike or Jason, I could just imagine, like, how come every single dude that I'm adding is actually getting worse as I continue? I mean, that is an awful group of streaming hitters, I gotta say.
Yeah. Yeah, it was just bad luck for him. And we saw this last week with somebody as well, where just every dude it was Costas last week, right? Every dude you plug in is an over. And sometimes you just have the wrong, you just got to reassess and try again next week, His key players this week, we'll start with Shohei Ohtani, 238 with a 333, a run, 3 doubles, a homer, 6 RBIs, a steal, 3 walks, and 9 strikeouts. The least valuable hitter is going to Gene Segura, 182, 438 on base percentage because he walked 5 times, but he only had 1 RBI and 5 strikeouts across the week. For his Cy Young this week is Tony Gonsolin, 11 innings, a win, a loss, a homer, a walk, 12 strikeouts, nothing earned, and an 0.55 whip. Again, you can give up homers and not have earned runs. The Cy Yuck this week is Kenley Jansen. 3 relief appearances, 2 innings, 2 losses, a save, a bomb, 4 walks, a strikeout, a 22.50, and a 4.50. For Matt Loosee on his bench, Benjamin, 15 for 52.
All right. 313.
288.
Oh, great.
Here comes the fun stuff. 10 runs, 2 doubles, 4 homers, 11 RBIs, a steal, 5 walks, and 10 strikeouts. The only thing that obviously plays is the 11 RBIs. Pick a day, and I can find you at least 2. Conforto on the 10th, Conforto on the 12th, Marte on the 14th. There were plenty of spots to get. Joey Gallo on Saturday with a double, a homer, 4 RBIs, and Josh Lowe is not playing in left field. This is the
I mean, there was a couple of occasions where there just was an empty roster spot, and all it needed to do was just put him in, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that Conforto on the 10th. Right. Cruz is not playing in the utility spot.
I think there was a Seiya Suzuki. Was there a Seiya Suzuki moment also? I think
same day you could make the same play, or you could sub out Joey Gallo. There was an RBI, a double, and a walk. Yeah, there were things to be had. He did not make a move. He's made 1 move since the start of May. His MVP this week is Josh Lowe. 273 with a 333, 5 runs, a double, 3 homers, 9 RBIs, a steal, 2 walks, and 6 strikeouts. His least valuable hitter is teammate Brandon Lau, 105 with a 280, a run, 2 RBIs, 5 walks, and 5 strikeouts. The Cy Young this week is Pat Sandoval, 14 innings, a loss, a bomb, a walk, 7 strikeouts, 386 and an 093. The Cy Yuck is Josh Winkowski, an inning and 2/3, a bomb, a strikeout, a 16-20 Pilgrim, and a 240 whip with 2 relief appearances. Benjamin, James McCloskey made chicken salad out of this week. A week his team really didn't perform, and he didn't have the special touch this week to make it get past this inactive team. I'm gonna use that word here until Matt Loosee can prove that he doesn't deserve that title at this point. It is an inactive team.
Yeah. It's in that case, Joe, it's a win that James needs to have. You can't leave this week with a loss knowing that you're playing the last place team that hasn't been working as hard as he has. I mean, 0 ads for Matt, 10 from James McCloskey, even though those 10 were not strong ads, as we talked about. No. Most of them were streamers that were just hitless.
And those very well may have been the reason he lost average and on base percentage.
Yeah, no, he did that to himself. He lost stats for himself, but in my eyes, the score should have finished 11-10. So as he walks away from this week, he said, you know what? I got that extra stat as a result because I was playing Matt. I grabbed relief appearances by 2 because Matt wasn't going to chase that down. He didn't even have to work hard and stream bullpen pieces. He was just streaming hitters just the whole way to just collect counting stats. And it worked out enough. So I'll give him credit where it's due because you need to get a win here, and he took it. Even though it was a slim one, I think James is probably relieved that he could at least walk away with a W.
No doubt. And James still sits here in second place, looking very strong here. This team did just get a major shakeup, and we're going to see how that goes going forward. But I don't see any reason, barring large injury, that this guy isn't going to compete all year and be a strong push for a playoff team. And I am very, very proud of him for doing so this year. How are you feeling about manager here making this push again?
Yeah, honestly, it's in a little, in some way, it's a bit of a surprise. Obviously, last year was a very down year for him, but he also did play spoiler a lot and beat a couple of teams that you were just like, wait, what? I mean, he beat Joe Schubert last year. There was a couple of others where you just, wow, James McCloskey grabbed the win. I mean, I couldn't beat him last year either. He's terrific as far as the drafting. He continues to improve as far as the day-to-day play, notwithstanding from this week with the poor streaming decisions. But even still, the fact that he is going for it says something to me, Joe. And that is a manager that can compete all the way through week 22. Because in order to get to the playoffs in this league, you have to be at least a little aggressive. You can't stand on your tush. You can't sit on your tush the entire season. And even an Ari Nisman, who somehow does manage to get in the playoffs every other year with the least amount of ads, does make ads when he needs to. So,
and we're going to see later that he made quite a few ads this week. So
yes. So I'll give James credit that he is actually, and if you ask James himself, James, do you feel like you've improved as a fantasy owner in this league, in the bigs, as far as our format goes? I think he would say yes, that he learns something every single year, and I'm proud of him.
Yeah, absolutely. We're incredibly proud of this guy. Keep kicking that ass, James, in every single week that you're not facing me. And let's move on to the guy who a couple of years ago was the surprise team, and now all of a sudden we're watching this guy kick the shit out of people and go, ooh, Josh Haber's good now, right, Ben?
Yeah, and I've said it in previous shows that this guy is really making a name for himself. And I remember last year when he started really hot after the 2021 playoff run. And I said, I've come to a point where I'm starting to expect a win from Josh. When I see a lead and I see that he's in the lead with the pitching stats where he's close to the 42 and he's basically right there and he's ahead in pretty much a good majority of the offensive stats, I expect him to shut it down. I expect him to close it out. And he actually had a tough second half in 2022, but he's really turned it around again. And now it's come to the point again where I'm just expecting this guy to be a lethal opponent no matter who he's facing.
Yeah, and here he gets a 14-4 drubbing of Bryan Lebo, and man, this is hurting for Bryan, and we're going to talk about Sunday here. Bryan led by 1 double on Sunday, and Josh took that from him. Errors were tied, and Lebo took not 1 but 2 on Sunday to ruin that for him. Close categories this week. Josh does win by that double. Bryan wins by 2 wins. They tied in triples with none, losses with 1, and walks by a pitcher with 23. For Josh on his bench this week, Benjamin, he goes 5 for 26.
Man.
Not close.
First, yeah. Well, firstly, I'll have to say that's really impressive. The 5 hits, I wonder how big a hits they were, but let's get into that. 196.
Oh, he almost had it.
198.
192.
Okay.
192. It's 3 runs, 2 doubles, a homer, 3 RBIs, a steal, 5 walks, and 11 strikeouts. In case you didn't notice, he clean swept the entire offensive category, so obviously none of this plays. There's one day where he was off, and it was the 12th. He left a 3 for 9 with 3 runs, 2 doubles, a bomb, 3 RBIs, a steal, 3 walks, and 3 strikeouts. Literally every guy on his bench did something amazing for him.
What day of the week was that?
I'll call that Friday.
Okay.
It's Peterson with a pinch hit, fucking 2-run homer and 2 walks. Castellanos 0 for 4. Senzel 1 for 4 with a double and a steal on the bench. And Thomas is 0 for 4 with 2 strikeouts at utility. Graham Ashcraft was on the bench. Caleb Ferguson was on the bench. It was just a bad day, and you still get 14-4. Good job. Good job. The transactions this week, he added Josiah Gray as a waiver claim and then completed a trade with his opponent, Bryce Elder, for Ketel Marte. Thoughts on that trade before we go any further?
Really interesting that 2 guys are making a trade right before they face each other. I wonder if either of these guys kind of knew that was about to happen on the schedule. I'm not even sure if these two have ever completed a trade together. I kind of wonder how that all came into fruition, who came to who initially.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, it's just interesting to see these two guys making a transaction.
And it makes a lot of sense here. Bryan does have a second base kind of clog at that point with Ketel Marte and Jonathan India, and Josh needs a second baseman because he didn't have one. So this works out. The rest of Josh's moves here. He dropped Raimel Tapia for Clark Schmidt. 6 innings, a win, a homer, 2 walks, 7 strikeouts, a 3 ERA, and a 1.17 whip. He also added Shelby Miller, who in the year of somebody's Lord 2023, an inning and 2/3, 2 bombs, a walk, 2 strikeouts, 10.80 ERA, and a 1.80 whip from Shelby Miller. Was once traded for Dansby Swanson.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Inciarte.
Yeah. He dropped Hayden Wesneski for John Gray. 7 innings, a win, a bomb, 8 strikeouts, a 129 and an 057. Well done. That's a great one. It's a great one. And that guy probably isn't going anywhere for a minute. He dropped Shelby Miller for Louis Varland. He dropped Clark Schmidt for Cionel Perez, and he added Nick Senzel, who was benched. He dropped Penn Murphy, who hit the IL for Lane Thomas, 0 for 4 with a walk and 2 strikeouts. He dropped Cionel Perez and dropped Michael Fulmer for Joe Kelly, who was benched, and added shortstop prospect Ellie De La Cruz. What team, Ben?
Denver Nuggets.
Close. Cincinnati Reds.
Okay, that was my next guess.
Yep. His key players this week. It starts with Anthony Rizzo, who is the AL Player of the Week. 444 with a 500 on base, 10 runs, a double, 3 homers, 7 RBIs, 3 walks, 5 strikeouts, and an error. Xander Bogaerts is the least valuable hitter, 167 with a 231, a run, 2 doubles, a steal, a walk, 7 strikeouts. The Cy Young is John Gray. I just mentioned him, and Brandon Pfaadt is the Cy Yuck this week. He's the future ace of the Diamondbacks, but for right now, he's not very good. 5 innings, a loss, 2 bombs, 2 walks, 3 strikeouts, a 1080, and a 180. For Bryan Lebo this week, Benjamin, here it is. I told you to get another one. You'll be 6 for 6. It's 5 for 20.
Yes. That makes a whole lot of sense. 25 of them, actually.
It is a quarter. It's a 250. 2 runs, 3 doubles, a steal, 4 walks, and 5 strikeouts. The 3 doubles are what play here. He lost that by 1. One of them is on Friday. Gio Urshela, 1 for 5 with Pasquantino at first base. I don't think you're making that swap. The next one is on Saturday. Benintendi, 2 for 3 with a double, a steal, and a walk. And Gio Urshela is 0 for 4 at utility. So he's trying to get that dude in there because he just hit, and he goes 0 for 4 for the guy that he benched. Like, it stinks. His moves this week.
Well, did we find it? Was there a double left on the bench?
2 of them. 3 of them.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I just mentioned those 2 spots.
Okay.
Yep. So his moves this week, he traded the aforementioned Ketel Marte for Bryce Elder. He dropped Nick Senzel, which ironically goes to Josh too, for Ezekiel Tovar, 0 for 3 with 2 strikeouts that day. He dropped Steven Matz for Eric Haas, 3 for 4 with 2 runs. He dropped Ezekiel Tovar for Luke Weaver, 6 innings, a win, 3 bombs, a walk, 2 strikeouts, a 6 ERA, and an 083 whip. He dropped Weaver for Dick Mountain, 3 2/3, 2 walks, 4 strikeouts, a 245 ERA, and a 164 whip. He dropped Dick Mountain for Ben Don't Be So Lively, 3 innings, a win, a strikeout, a 133 whip, and a relief appearance. He dropped Eric Haas for JJ Bleday, 0 for 3 with 2 strikeouts. Hang on to that kid. He's supposed to be good. He dropped Ben So Lively and dropped Taj Bradley for Jesse Chavez, 2/3 of an inning, a walk, a strikeout, a 150 whip, and a relief appearance. His key players this week, Benjamin. His trade piece, Andrew McCutchen, 294 with a 429, 3 runs, a bomb, 3 RBIs, 4 walks, 8 strikeouts. There you go. He got you a week. Brian Hayes, his teammate, is the least valuable player, 190 and a 292. 2 runs, a double, an RBI, a steal, 3 walks, 7 strikeouts, and an error. The Cy Young is Shane McClanahan, 10 innings, a win, 2 homers, 8 walks, 10 strikeouts, a 360 and a 170. The Cy Yuck, Say it with me, Benjamin. Phil Bickford sucks. Phil
Yeah, I
Bickford
agree.
sucks. An inning and 2/3, a 21.60 ERA with 1 strikeout, a 3 WHIP, and 2 relief appearances. Benji, let's talk about these guys here.
All right. Well, firstly, it is nice to see that his MVP is the guy that he traded for. That's good. The problem is that he still lost every single offensive category, and he batted under 240 as a team. So the fact that he got the production that he needed to, and my battery's actually pretty low, so I'm going to have to deal with that as I'm talking about this, but I got it. That's all right. We're
Listen,
good.
Trey Turner's hitting 260 on the season, man. Like that's where this engine needs to start going. Trey Turner hasn't really hit the ground running. 260, 4 homers, 10 RBIs, and 5 steals. I don't think that's the numbers he was signing up for when he drafted him.
I agree. I do think that part of that, the first couple of weeks, it might also be just because Bryce Harper wasn't in the lineup. And I can see those numbers going up now that he gets more pitches to hit. So I think that might be a correlation there, at least. But Michael Harris, I recall being a pretty early pick in his draft. And you don't blame him for grabbing the rookie of the year when he gets him. But man, has he been a disappointment, and just another really disappointing week here. I mean, what, 1 RBI, 1 stolen base, no bombs, no doubles, no runs,
5
a 200
RBIs
average this year. How many?
He has 5 on the season,
Okay,
man.
well, he is typically batting towards the top of the order, right? So I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. It's more about just like what he's batting in general, which, as I look at it here, he hits 8th, but he's batting to 19. That's the bigger problem here.
Yeah.
I mean, what are you going to do? 315 on base percentage? It's pretty terrible right now, and especially because the Braves are hitting well. Like, they're doing well as a team. They're doing well in spite of this guy. So they're really just.
And in theory, this was supposed to be like a power speed combo in the first 3 rounds, right? This was supposed to be 40 to 50 homers between the two of them, and a ton of runs and a ton of steals and good batting average. And that's the engine, and it's broken. And Bryan has said in many texts to me, it's time to shake this up. It's time to shake this up. And so far, I've seen a pitcher and Andrew McCutchen.
Yeah, and when I look at this roster as it is, besides Trey Turner, I can't really pinpoint one other star, whether it even be in the pitching staff or the offense. If I look at every other roster, I can at least see a couple of stars, 2 or 3. But this offense, firstly, outside of that guy, like, what are we talking about? I mean, Vinny, I can't even pronounce his name, but
Vinny P.
Right. He's a very fairly new guy. Like, you're putting a lot of eggs into one basket, hoping that guy is going to be great. Michael Harris, okay, there could be, I mean, he's a rookie year. Okay, the sophomore slump, you can't assume it. So, like, that's fine. But you just look across the board. Benintendi, he's a nice player. Urshela had a good year last year. McCutchen, what do we think of McCutchen? Jonathan India, he was a rookie of the year a couple of years ago, but we don't really know what Jonathan India is necessarily. So I look up and down the roster, and I don't see a lot of star power, and I'm just wondering, how do you make this roster better? Like, how do you make this team better? Like, does he have the players that can actually do it, or does he have to really just scratch and claw from free agency, 12 ads per week, flipping, just trying to get the pick to click, trying to get hot players and hot pitchers every single day? That's really, really tough to do.
That's not the way that you succeed with this team. The way you succeed with this team is you downsize the pitching staff. You consolidate some of this big pitching that he's got. Stroman, Wainwright, McClanahan, Syndergaard, Gosman, Corbin, Elder. He's got 7 starters. And the
Well,
bullpen
I mean,
the bullpen's very nice. I don't know which piece he moves. Whichever one you believe is the highest value that you believe in least. Right?
right. Yeah,
The-
and that's the thing exactly because like whoever you think is the stud, like you got to keep that guy to be your ace,
yes.
right?
Yes. But you could move the number 2 guy and get a bat. And they like whatever you want to target for. And here's the thing. The McCutchen deal was a pitcher, was it not?
I don't recall.
Off the top of my head, I don't recall either.
I mean, I remember us being like, yeah, I remember us being like, you know, if you're gonna pick up a hitter, like I feel like McCutchen was kind of a guy that you could have grabbed in free agency, a similar type of player.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we'd have to kind of go through the
Yeah.
transactions. I just don't recall off the top of
Yeah.
my head.
But I mean, the bullpen's strong with Helsley and the other St. Louis guy, Genesis Cabrera. He's got David Bednar, who is locked in this year. And it's, the cast of characters that he has in his bullpen. But this is a strong pitching staff. It's just really deep. And when you're running with only 2 bench guys on the offense, and the offense is the weak point, and we've talked about it, like he's dead last in RBIs, dead last in batting average, dead last in on base percentage. Like those things, you can go out and find these things. You just have to cut from the pitching staff, and you have to change your strategy. And that's a whole different conversation that I don't think I can have on the podcast because I know he listens.
And at this point, any hitter will do. Like basically the only type of hitter you don't need is a shortstop. But even let's say it's another first baseman that we think is better than Pascatina, then okay, that guy is the utility guy now. I feel like there's a little bit more thump required to compete with a lot of these teams that are coming up on the schedule.
Yeah. I'll tell you right now, nobody is going to give him a dime for Michael Harris right now.
No.
Nobody's going to give him and I don't think in any world you want to move Trey Turner.
No, that
you
has
can't
to be
do it.
No, because that would just cripple him completely. I mean, that's the only thing, So that would make him a worse team, no matter what. So yeah, no, I wouldn't do that.
No.
But how about we jump to the other side, though, Joe? We got to talk about Josh a little bit. And what he did was he kind of squished the bug here. Bryan Lebo maybe could try to climb back, make some kind of comeback. And Josh was like, nah, you stay down here. Josh has been an unbelievable competitor, like incredible. And you only wonder what can really derail this team because it seems pretty complete top to bottom.
It's very, very solid. The catcher on the Diamondbacks has been great. Gabriel Moreno, Rizzo, Marte, Riley, and Bogarts across the infield. That's an all-star cast. The outfield is Alvarez, a center fielder, Nick Castellanos. The center fielder just happens to be Jazz Chisholm, who's on the IL. So, and that dude's going to be down for like a minute with some turf toe. You hear about this?
No.
Yeah, he's supposed to miss 4 to 6 weeks with turf toe. Okay.
But yeah, you don't expect that it's going to be much better once he gets back on the turf. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I don't know much about that injury. But what I do know is that Josh has really fortified himself with a really nice pitching staff. I had 5 saves, I believe, the week I faced him, and I still lost that category. Josh has really, really fortified himself with a strong bullpen. He can bang out at least 4 saves a week, and that's gonna beat most of the people in our league with the way we've constructed our own bullpen. So he's set himself up pretty well. He is going to have to manage the pitching and bench certain guys that he feels are going to get crushed. He can't play every single one of these starters every single time, obviously, but he's been smart enough. He's been making the right decisions on how to get to that 42. So this is another guy that I think he joined us in 2006. It's 2023. And I really believe that his game has continuously increased, and it's been very, very impressive to watch. I'm really, really proud of him. And I hope that he's proud of himself. And I wonder, like, if I had asked him, what do you feel like you've learned year to year about the bigs? Like, what has changed in your mind? Something that you weren't doing in previous years that you started doing in 2021 and last year and this year. What changed? What made you develop? What turned you into the manager that you are right now? A guy that's probably going to be having a completely competitive summer throughout. So,
No doubt.
really, really, really excited to see what's coming from him.
I am super excited to see it as well. Like you said, this team is very complete. We're going to see it competing all summer long, and it's going to be interesting. Which I'll ask you this toward the end before we do managers of the week, but this is one of those teams I think we're going to start picking for. Okay, I think we can start penciling this guy onto the playoff bracket at some point.
You know what happens when we start doing that, though.
I know, but that's fun talk. I always love the fun talk. All right, Benji, let's move on to the next one here. This one is, in fact, a tale as old as the bigs. It is one of the combinations that we have seen over and over again, year after year, at least once a year, sometimes 3 times a year. It's Ari Nisman and Mike Sherman. Tell us some history here.
Of course, the 2016 final, Joe. The first year that we started making ads the day of versus having to do it the day prior. The first year that we actually had an ad limit. We made it 21 ads. When you think about it, it's ridiculous since now it's 12. But yeah, that was the 2016 final, and Mike Sherman won it. And since then, Ari has been to the playoffs in 2018, 2020, and 2022. As far as Mike Sherman, he was in the pandemic year. He was in 2020 and didn't go further than the first round. Neither of these guys have won a playoff round since 2016. In 2018, Ari had the bye and he lost to Joe Schubert. So both of these guys, it's been a while since they've had a playoff run. But like I said, these are two very experienced managers. They've been playing against each other since 2004. And it's always exciting to see two very different strategies play out the way that they did.
Yes. And this was a fun one. This one was close for a bit. And actually Ari was down for much of it. And then just the weekend came and he pulled away hard. On Sunday, Ari had a one double lead, and Sherman was able to get that one. Errors were in fact tied, and Sherman took an error there. Mike Sherman had a 7-inning advantage, and Ari blew him out of the water, which coincided with the strikeout flip, as Mike Sherman had a 1 strikeout advantage. Close categories: Ari wins by a homer. He wins by an error. He wins by 5 innings. That's not correct. And a home run given up by a pitcher. Mike did not win anything close, just maybe the 2 saves, but we knew Ari wasn't. Actually, that's surprising that Ari didn't get one this week. And they tied in doubles and triples. For Ari on his bench this week, Benji, here it comes.
Yes.
25 for 99.
Oh, wow.
I told you I could not believe it. I was sitting here and I told you, last night I was like,
damn it.
I can't believe Ari did this on his bench. 25 for 99, dude.
Okay, so is that 255?
253. He had 14 runs, 10 doubles, a triple, 5 bombs, 19 RBIs, 2 steals, 5 walks, and 26 strikeouts. The doubles and the triple, obviously, like pick a day. He had 10 of them this week. 10 doubles.
Okay, so instead of a win, it's a tie in that stat. It's not brutal,
Yeah.
actually, for all
Yeah.
that was left on the bench. Like, that's actually not that brutal that he doesn't actually take a loss from
Mhm.
any of these categories that were played.
Right.
Even a couple of steals, he's still losing by half.
Right. And he still wins the day 14-5. So we're doing fine. Why did that happen? Because Ari Nisman came to play this week. He dropped Eddie Rosario for Jorge Soler, 1-for-3 with a walk. He dropped Brett Beatty for Luis Garcia, 2-for-5 with a run. He dropped Ramon Laureano and added Blake Sable. Who? 1-for-4 with an RBI and a strikeout. He dropped Sable for Grossman, 1-for-4 with a run, a double, and a strikeout. He dropped Josh Naylor for Kyle Bradish, 6 innings, a walk, 6 strikeouts, nothing earned in an 067. He dropped Kyle Bradish for Joey Lucchesi, whose game was suspended. And then he dropped Luis Garcia for Luke Raley, 0-for-3 with a walk and 2 strikeouts on the bench. Sick. His key players this week. Well, it also helps that he got Aaron Judge back. 261 average, 357 on base, 6 runs, a double, 2 bombs, 7 RBIs, 4 walks, and 8 strikeouts. Masataka Yoshida is the least valuable hitter with a 158 and a 238, a run, a double, 2 walks, and 4 strikeouts. Shane Bieber is the Cy Young, 6 innings, a win, a walk, 9 strikeouts, nothing earned, a 133. And Hunter Brown has to be the Cy Yuck here. 10 innings, a win, 3 bombs, 2 walks, 11 strikeouts, a 630. That's a wrestling move. And a 180. That's a turnaround, I guess. Yeah. Yeah. For Mike Sherman this week on his bench, Benjamin, 1-for-8.
Oh, man. 1-for-8.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a 167?
Well, man, it's almost like it's like half a quarter, so it's like a 125.
125.
Yeah. With a run, a bomb, 2 RBIs, a walk, and 2 strikeouts. The only thing that plays is the bomb. And actually, it's really easy to get in. It comes from Patrick Wisdom on Wednesday, the 10th. It's his only hit, and he comes with a walk. Mitch Haniger doesn't play left field, and Vaughn's playing first base with left field eligibility. Now, I don't know if it was a timing thing or if it was just a life thing, but that's where the bomb is, and that's the difference. Again, he loses that category instead of tying that category. So his moves this week, not many. 3 of them. Dropped Joey Lucchesi for Zach Greinke, 5 2/3, a bomb, a walk, 2 strikeouts, a 476, and a 124. He dropped Reaver San Martin for Andre Palante, an inning and 2/3, a strikeout, an 060 whip, a relief appearance on the bench. And then he dropped Trevor May. That's it. His MVP this week is Bobby Witt Jr., 226 with a 250, 4 runs, 2 doubles, the triple, a homer, 3 RBIs, 4 steals, a walk, and 9 strikeouts. The least valuable hitter is Jorge Mateo, 056 with an 056, an RBI, 3 strikeouts, and an error. The Cy Young was not a whole lot of options to go with here, so I went with David Robertson. 2 2/3, a save, 2 walks, 6 strikeouts, nothing earned, an 075, and 2 relief appearances. The Cy Yuck is Rafael Montero, 2 innings, 2 relief appearances, and he took 2 losses. That sucked. What do you see, Benji?
Well, it's really, really hard to gauge right now, Joe, because Mike was just around 500 going into this matchup, and Ari was all the way at the bottom. And then now they're both right around the same spot. Sherman a little bit better. Ari is 10 under, and Sherman 9 under. Hard to say what direction these teams are going in. Ari is going to play his gigantic bench, his 10 pitchers, whether 7 are probably starters, 3 are relievers or whatever, and he's just going to stream starting pitchers and just go for it at some point. What I noticed about this matchup that was very impressive, and it's something that you mentioned that happened on Sunday, is that Ari said, I'm going all in with these innings to contest that and strikeouts. He gets them both, and yet he still doesn't give up enough home runs to lose that category. He wins home runs given up by 1, 7-6. He doesn't give up enough walks to lose that category. He wins that by 3, 14 given up versus 17 given up on the side of Mike Sherman. So that I found very impressive, that he went for it on Sunday and it wasn't costly in other categories. That typically doesn't happen. And if you do this 8 out of 10 times, you're gonna typically lose those categories when you're going for the innings pitched and strikeouts. Just ask guys like Bob Russo and Bryan Lebo. They've went for it on Saturdays and Sundays, and it's burned them, myself included. You know, we've all been there. So,
Oh yeah.
very, very impressive showing from Ari on Sunday. He needed this win badly. He needed it more than Mike Sherman needed it. And Ari's back in the pack, and I just wonder, where will these two guys be in, say, another 6 weeks?
It's exactly what I was going to be asking you here at the end of the show. Who was going to be changing their stars over the next 6 weeks? Was going to be pick a guy. So we will ask that when we get to managers of the week, but I digress. I agree with you that these teams are hard to predict because we don't know what's going to happen with the way they construct and the way they manage their lineups. They're I hate to they're relics from a past, and it's not to say that that's not still sustainable today. Ari has proven that, Sherman has proven that they may be relics of the bigs that I know from 2006 and 7 and 8 and 12 and 13 and 14. But damn it, they're still competitive and they're going to kick the shit out of people this year.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, no matter whatever their strategy is, whether they're a little less active than the average player in the bigs, that doesn't mean that their guys aren't going to execute and their guys won't carry them. If Ari picks the right players to bench every single day, you can't beat him. It doesn't matter how much you're managing, how much, you pick different free agents. If he's getting it right every single day, which he won't, but I'm just saying, if he does, you can't beat him,
Right.
And that's a big part of this whole game.
And sometimes he doesn't even have to get them all right.
Right.
Because on short days, he's still got a full lineup. What are you going to do? You are going to what? Dump out all of your moves on Mondays and Thursdays to get a full lineup and hope you compete in pitching? That's playing into his strategy.
Yes. And it's also playing yourself into a potential loss. If you're like, okay, I'll go all in. I'll pick up 5 hitters today. And then, what do you know? They go
1 for 17.
Yeah.
I love that we just did that. That was really in sync right there. These guys are always fun to play against. I can't wait to get my turn around with Sherman. Benji, it's time to talk about my matchup this week, sir. And it's a good win for Bob Russo. And that's what it is this week. It's a win for Bob Russo. What did you see this week, buddy?
Well, as far as this matchup goes, obviously, proud is not even the word to describe how my opinion of Bob Russo right now. I wonder myself, just like I was thinking the same thing of Josh Haber, like what has changed since 2018? Bobby is still basically a young pup in our league. This is his 5th full year, 6 in total if you count the pandemic year. He got the 1 playoff appearance his 2nd year in 2019. He had a terrific season. 2021, he was grinding all the way to the end, and he fell out in the last couple of weeks. Last year, it was a little bit tougher for him. He found himself around the top and then just fell kind of towards the middle again. So obviously, this is another really, really hot start for him. And he's winning against teams that, if you take the loss to them, it's not that big a deal as long as you don't get crushed. But getting a win on Joe Schubert, no matter how depleted he is, and yeah, right now, Joe Schubert, you're not playing with all 26, which is scary because you're still putting up great stats every week. But you got to take advantage when you can. And the fact that Joe, were you playing with 23 or 24 this week?
23.
Yeah, I mean it's a little bit easier. So
Yeah.
this was the time to play against Joe Schubert, and Bobby, he took advantage, and that was big. So it obviously a long way to go here, but you get a win on Joe, you take it and you run, and then you say, hey, I got to face him in 15 weeks when our teams are going to look a whole lot different. But just feel happy that you got out of that and you didn't get smoked.
No doubt. And I am very happy to get 7. I think we were talking on about Wednesday that I was looking at a beating here. I was looking. What was the phrase I used? Oh no, I'm in good shape.
Oh no, it was so good. It was gold. It was because we were talking about setting ourselves up, and I was like, and you were like, yeah, I pretty much set myself up to get crushed this week.
Yes,
it was.
Yep, I was down 14-5 after Tuesday, sort of clawed back in and made it respectable here at 12-7. I'm fine with what happened here. Sunday, I led by 1 tick in on-base percentage. Bobby had the better offensive day on Sunday. Losses were tied, and we'll talk about that. ERA, Bobby had a 41 tick ERA advantage, and look at that category, Benjamin. That is a 1 tick advantage for you, boy. Close categories this week. Bobby wins by the win, the loss, and 3 saves. I won by 2 doubles and the 1 tick on the ERA. We tied in triples and errors. For Bobby on his bench this week, Benjamin, it is 12 for 42.
Okay. Not ideal for Bobby. Doing this at past 1 o'clock in the morning isn't the easiest task, by the way.
Well, why don't you do it past 1:30? Because that's what this is.
What do we say? 12 for 42?
That's correct.
320?
286.
Yeah.
9 runs, 3 doubles that flips the category, a triple that wins the category, a homer, 11 RBIs, a steal, 8 walks, and 6 strikeouts. The triple comes on the 9th. It was Friedel, but it was tough to get in. And I remember saying out loud, like, I'm really glad he benched that triple, because the fact that both of us put up 2 this week and tied is great. But I would rather put up 2 and tie than put up 2 and see someone beat me with 3. That's just insanely annoying.
Yes.
He also left a pair of doubles on Saturday, but that's really all that plays here. His moves this week: he dropped Jose Suarez and Ryan Feltner for Hanser Alberto, 1 for 3 with 2 RBIs. He dropped Bryan Anderson for Keegan Thompson, dropped Keegan Thompson for Jonathan Hernandez, dropped Andrew Vasquez for Wilmer Flores, 0 for 5 with a strikeout. He added Tyler Anderson, 6 innings, 3 walks, a strikeout, a 450, and a 150 at Cleveland. He dropped Hanser Alberto for Taylor Clark, an inning and a third, a walk, 3 strikeouts, nothing earned, and an 0.75 whip with a relief appearance. Jonathan Hernandez was dropped for Jordan Hicks, who got benched on Sunday and had a clean inning and would have won him the ERA category, but he benched him and didn't get him back in time. And instead, he played Trevor Gott in third of an inning, a 3 whip, and a relief appearance. It wasn't enough outs from that guy to get the ERA down underneath the number. He used 8 2-hitters, a starter, and 5 relievers. His MVP this week is going to go to Anthony Volpe. The shortstop of the New York Yankees, 241 with a 241, 5 runs, a triple, 3 bombs, 8 RBIs, 2 steals, 9 strikeouts, and an error. It was either going to be him or Harrison Bader, because holy crap, did both of those guys just beat the piss out of me early this week. The least valuable hitter is Corbin Carroll, 091 with a 200, 3 walks, 4 strikeouts, and only 2 runs scored. The Cy Young goes to Aaron Nola. 6 innings, a win, a bomb, 2 walks, 6 strikeouts, a 3 with a 117. Bonus points for benching the loss on Sunday, Bobby. Good job, buddy. The Cy Young goes to Ronnie Marinara Sauce. 4 relief appearances, 2 2/3, a win, 2 walks, 3 strikeouts, a 13.50, and a 2.63. I have not seen this number. I haven't looked at it, so I don't even know what I did this week, Benjamin. But it's a 5 for 15.
Okay. All right. So 3-3-3.
You got it. He got 2 this week, guys. That's awesome.
Yeah, very impressive.
Yep. 3 runs, a homer, 3 RBIs, a walk, and 4 strikeouts. None of it plays. I traded Giovanni Gallegos for Jack Flaherty, who had 5 innings, a homer, 5 walks, 3 strikeouts, a 5.40, and a 2.40 at Chicago. I dropped Brent Honeywell for James Karinchak. I added Jamison Taillon on the other side of that Flaherty start. That didn't work out. I dropped Trent Grisham for Luke Raley, 2 for 3 with a walk and a strikeout. He was my Darren Ruff or Jurickson Profar or now Josh Naylor that just sort of shows up during a series that I like, performs, and is gone again. I dropped Taillon for Sean Manaea, who was awful against Washington. I dropped Jordan Walker for Yuri Perez, 4 2/3, 2 bombs, 2 walks, 7 strikeouts, 3.86 ERA, a 1.29, and a no decision against Cincinnati. I would then go on to trade Yuri Perez and bring Jordan Walker back onto the team. I dropped Sam Hentges for Brandon Hughes. I dropped Sean Manaea for Aaron Bummer. I dropped Victor Gonzalez for Willie Calhoun, 1 for 3 with a run and a double. You like the Willie Calhoun play. I dropped James Karinchak for Andrew Heaney, 6 innings, 2 walks, 9 strikeouts, a 1.50 ERA, and a 1 whip in a no decision at Oakland. That got the ERA under it and won me that category. I dropped Calhoun for Christian Bethancourt, 1 for 4 with a strikeout. I dropped Luke Raley for Brooks Raley. I dropped Aaron Bummer for Tyler Rogers, an inning, a loss, a walk, a 9 ERA, and a 2 whip with a relief appearance. And then I dropped Brooks Raley. He took the loss, which gave Miguel Castro the win, which got me that much closer, but it also lost me the losses category. I used all 12, 3 hitters, 5 relievers, and 4 starters. The MVP this week is my sweetheart, my wonderful man, my Yandy Diaz, 308 with a 400, 4 runs, 3 doubles, a homer, 5 RBIs, 3 walks, and 4 strikeouts. The least valuable hitter is Chris Taylor, 071 with a 188, a run, a double, a walk, 3 strikeouts. The Cy Young is Eduardo Rodriguez, and I have a note here. Was Jason right about this guy being good? No, he wasn't. He's not good. He's just having a really good run here. He's available for trade. This week, 7 innings.
Someone like that is very intriguing.
Yeah, I know, right? Well, this week, 7 innings, a win, 2 walks, 8 strikeouts, nothing earned, an 0.86 whip. He's got a 1.57 on the season with an 0.79 whip across 50 innings. Like, he has had a very nice little run here, and I don't know that it's going to continue, and I am welcome to offers for him. That's all I can say. My Cy Young is, quote, my choice, but it's either Taillon or Manaea. Yeah, it's either one of those guys. I'll take Manaea because he actually took the loss, and I lost the losses category. Benji, what'd you see this week, buddy?
Well, the first thing that you just mentioned, which is the decision to go with Flaherty versus Taillon and put them both on your team. That one kind of scratched my head from a veteran like yourself. The Sean Manaea thing I thought was a really good pickup. And what, he lost to Washington or something? Like something weird like that.
Yeah.
With that being said, you still managed to get just one more out and win that ERA category. Another thing that I saw, which blew my mind, is that Bobby Russo nearly doubled Joe Schubert in walks, 33-17. Joe, you built your team to be an on-base machine. And in this case, Bobby takes you by 20 points nearly, 19 actually in on-base percentage. You still get batting average here. Again, like I said before, that you were playing shorthanded. So Bobby was able to take advantage. I saw a lot of haymakers thrown back and forth. And the unfortunate tale towards the end was that Bobby's closers kept on coughing it up. That's not going to continue to happen, but it definitely did cost him ERA in this case. And that's frustrating to him. I mean, he's able to hold on to losses by 1. He's still able to beat you by saves by 3. And take wins by 1. But yeah, all he needs to do to flip that category is have one of his closers actually produce the way that they're supposed to. So I'm sure that's annoying that a 13-6 becomes a 12-7. He should be relieved that that you, Joe, weren't really sure of what pitcher was activated for the Mets, and you were like, you know what, let me go with another reliever here, and that's the guy that ends up taking the loss for you on Sunday. But in general, it was really cool. You know, he gets a home run from Volpe, you get a home run right back on Sunday. It was really just going back and forth, real chess matchup. I wonder what it would have been if you were able to play with all 26. So it's still it's a really big win for Bobby here, and I'm not taking anything away from it. You know, it's you got to play who's on your schedule, and that's a really, really important win at this point because, again, it's no matter how many guys Joe is playing with, it's a very, very tough matchup. And right now, you've really constructed a roster that's very challenging because they can do so many different things, whether it be on the offensive side or the pitching. Like, yeah, you're a little bit depleted in the bullpen, but okay, that's just one stat, you know, or 2. In this case, 2, because, yeah, Bobby was able to pull out relief appearances as well, probably due to the fact that you're not playing with 26 guys and you're not able to fill up as much as you can. But even still, very, very nice win. And it's a tolerable loss for you at this point.
No doubt. No doubt. When it was 15-2 after Monday and 14-3, I think, after Tuesday, and we're sitting here talking about how I'm setting myself up for an ass beating, I said, you know what? If I can get 8, I'll be happy. I got 7. I'm fine. I'm 3 under 500 after 6 weeks. That's very, very serviceable, right where I want to be. If you gave me a worst case scenario and said, hey, you're going to be 13 under 500 after 6 weeks, I'd probably still sign up for that.
Yes.
So now that I've made a couple of big blockbuster moves that we'll talk about next week on the show, now that the roster this is the first time I'm happy with my team. Like I said this to you on the porch earlier. This is the first time that I'm happy with my team completely. And yet I'm still going, I'll take offers for Eduardo, like flat out. I need relievers. Come talk to me. Benjamin, it's coming to that time of week, and here is that chance that I want to give you. What is that player in the bigs right now that is going to change his stars over the next 6 weeks?
Manager?
Yes.
I'm gonna go with Henry Collins. Not that he's having a really bad season or anything. He's only 4 under 500. But as the weeks progress, I feel like he's getting it a little bit more. And now he kind of filled up some spots that he was concerned about in his outfield and catcher spot. He picks up 2 Colorado guys, in Diaz and Profar. I think that solidifies things for him a little bit. I'm a fan of his 1-2 punch in Garrett Cole and Luzardo. He's got a great bullpen. And I think he's just running into tough managers every week, even this past week, running into Christian on a hot week. So just a little bad luck on the matchups. But as he progresses, as he learns how to play the game, I think he's going to get better and better, and he just needs more time. And if I'm wrong, I feel like this is a guy in seasons to come. He's really going to start to feel himself.
I'm super excited to see what Henry does over the next 6 weeks too, man. It is really exciting to watch somebody come into a league where they're already excited because they know people in the league and they have an emotional investment to it, and they're going to learn how to play a game better than they already do, right? I don't
Mhm.
think Henry was completely blind to fantasy baseball coming in.
Well, he had done basketball, so he
And I
could
know he
kind
did
of
football with
understand.
me.
Yes, and he'd done basketball, which kind of helps with the everyday grind that you
Mhm.
kind of have to do. But baseball is a whole new animal, and especially the bigs.
Yeah.
Like, it's not your regular 5x5 thing. It's it's a whole different animal.
Right.
And he had done things in last week where he needed RBIs, and he made that ad on Sunday, and boom, it worked. So
Mhm.
he's starting to do things that you'd start to see managers that have been here for 6, 7 years doing. So that's already a great sign.
No doubt. No doubt. My choice here is already a man who's made the decision to change his stars, and that's Frank Bucco. Frank has made the decision that he needs to alter this team in such a way. And it's one of those moments where I need to now tell a story. I need to tell the story about Frank. And Frank, you called me while I was sitting in an airport parking lot waiting for former Bigs member James Santangelo to come back from a wedding. And we were discussing the fact that I was having trade talks with James McCloskey, which ended up being successful. And Frank said, I need to do something. I need to do something right now. I need to make this happen. And he's made this decision to change his team. One way or another, this team will change where he stands in these rankings.
I see. So when you say change his start, you're not necessarily saying he's going to go up. You're just saying there's going to
I'm
be
saying
an
you are
elevator.
you are making a change one way or the other. You've made I'm doing it too, right? I made two pretty large trades
Yes.
this weekend that affected week 7. Sorry, Christian. Um, listen, it's once a year somebody gets dumps on. This is the bad luck with me. If you
Well,
get
it's
like
retrospectively, it's 2 out of 7 days. Like, a lot can still happen, but yes, you have a very
yeah,
hot start.
yeah. That being said, Frank has made that decision. I believe that we're going to see exactly what he's capable of and how savvy he is in making these trades. And the outcome of his season is reliant upon these moves. That's it. Like the question is phrased in such a way that the answer is very obvious for me. Let's move on to managers of the week this week, Benjamin. Who's number 3 for you, buddy?
Before I even get into it, I'm going to just, as a spoiler, just say who I unfortunately have to omit, and that's Bobby Russo. I'm sorry, Bobby. I'm sorry they're not in the top 3. I think you played a hell of a matchup. I'm not even criticizing his moves. I'm not even like getting on him that one decision to bench a guy that if he played him, he would have gotten that out in one ERA, or that the closers lose it. It has nothing to do with it. Beating Joe no matter what is extraordinarily impressive. And just when you're so depleted, when you're playing so short-handed, it is a little bit easier to compete against whoever it is. So, and unfortunately, I'm taking a little bit away from him, but he should still be really, really proud and pumped that he got through that matchup with a W.
I'm going to
So
piggyback off of that real quick because I'm also going to omit him. Not because I don't respect the win and not because I didn't have a bitch of a time fighting against him, but that because some of my fighting was successful, I was able to get ERA under it by 1 tick, right? Like there were just a couple of things I got that, like, if you're going to squash the bug, this is the opportunity. Mike Haber did it 2 weeks ago. Jason and I fought to almost a tie. This was the opportunity. And I said on Tuesday or Wednesday, as we were walking out the back door to the backyard, I said, I just kind of got to hope that Bobby plays to the middle again. Here we are.
yeah. So
Number 3, who is it?
I'm going with Josh Haber in this case. I realize that Bryan Lebo's roster, it's a little weak right now, but Josh is making those ads, and he's forcing the issue, and he is making his luck in a lot of senses. So very, very impressed with what he's doing. And I cannot deny that this is going to be an extraordinarily competitive summer for this guy.
No doubt. No doubt. That guy is actually going to be talked about in just a moment. My number three is your brother Ari. I really appreciate Ari putting in 8 moves and flipping 4 categories and getting this huge win and getting himself back right here. And it's not very often we get to praise Ari because of the way he plays and the results that come sometimes. He also gets lost in the mix because he hasn't been on the podcast and he doesn't perform a lot of trades and he's not a very vocal member of the group. But we love you, Ari. Great big win. Thank you so much. Who is your number two, Benjamin?
Well, it's my opponent, Joe. And when you bat 299, you're pretty sure that you can win that stat. No, not when your opponent bats 305. Um, Extraordinarily frustrating, man. I, I didn't know what the hell to do. Um, he didn't pitch well. He was taking a lot of chances, but he still managed to kick my ass for the most part. Beating me in walks by one. That's my bread and butter to win walks. I got 18 of them. That wasn't enough. He grabbed that last one late on Sunday. Thank God I got that night home run from Nolan Arenado, or this thing is 12-8. Averaging on base, it kept flip-flopping. I take some questionable decisions on what I bench through the week, but I played a pretty sound matchup. Like I feel like a matchup where I would have beaten most of you guys, but not this guy who's playing on a completely different level than most of us. And it's just another one of those Mike Haber years. And the guy's just in '07. He's made the playoffs every year, basically. He missed it in the beginning, and then 2017, and then the pandemic year. But every other year he makes it, and he makes a run. So it's just one of those years for Mike Haber, and I expect him in the playoffs, potentially a bye. Obviously, it's way too early, but he has the roster now. He's a lethal manager. He's arguably the best day-to-day manager in the game. And I did what I could. I mean, I made a trade on Sunday night to try to get a reliever. And it was Taylor Rogers. I try to put that together with Sean Alexander. And I try to get these bullpen pieces to compete. But like Gabe Kapler is one of the most difficult managers to guess. And Sean Alexander, he basically forgot that guy was on the team. And same with Taylor Rogers. Like these guys didn't pitch for like 6 days. And I was like, what the fuck did I trade Taiwan Walker for? Like a guy that's not even going to come in. And I can't drop him because I'm just waiting. And it was the same thing with Kevin Cash, because I picked up former WWE employee Kevin Kelly. And he comes in one day. And then he doesn't come in for like 4 or 5 more days. And it was really, really frustrating dealing with Kapler and Kevin Cash. So if they actually do what they're supposed to and give a normal schedule to these guys, instead of giving them 5 days off and then expecting them to pitch well without working for that long, which definitely hurt me and made it difficult for me to actually flip-flop. I only used about 2 or 3 ads the whole week, but I think I would have been able to compete a little bit better in relief appearances. I lose that one by 3, but not taking anything away from this manager. He outplayed me. And I'll get into it a little bit more as we're signing off, but I hope this was a little bit of revenge for what happened last year, because that playoff win for me last year against Mike Haber is a really, really special one. And I had a 14-5 lead. I had a big lead a lot of this week, including going into Saturday. So I had no doubt that because all these stats were very close, a 14-5 meant bupkis. But, he did what he had to do to get this win. So nice way to turn it around for him.
I regret that I'm not going to have Mike in here either. I'm giving this spot to some guys that we haven't really focused on this year. And to be honest, we could probably put Mike in every single week that he wins. So credit to you, Mike. Hats off to you. It was a great win. It was a come from behind. We love you. My number 2 is his brother, because it was a more impressive win. And though it was against a team that's kind of really trying to find itself, or lest they fall deeper underwater, you do what you have to when it's on the schedule. This is what it should have been between me and Bobby, and it wasn't. So that's why I give this the number 2. Benji, who's your number 1?
I got to go with Costas Paragas here, Joe.
Yeah, me too.
16-4 win. It's really, really impressive against a hot manager. Frank had won 2 in a row, impressive wins, and Costas just stopped that and stopped it in a big way. He did what he was supposed to do. 8 stolen bases. They tied that category. 8 stolen bases apiece. 10 bombs, 35 RBIs. 268 average. I mean, I realized that Frank only batted 213 this week, but even still, I mean, I really feel he played to the score really, really well. And it didn't even bother me that that error that came from DJ LeMahieu late on Sunday that actually gives Frank another category. This could have been 16-3. So Frank's got to be happy that it wasn't worse. It's another week where Frank gets a stat on Sunday with the opponent actually blowing something.
Just
so
giving it to him, yeah.
Yeah, basically. But he grabs the relief appearances by 2, does Costas, 16 of 14, incredible 286 ERA over 63 innings. I mean, what else can you say? I feel like Costas did exactly what he was supposed to. He said, yeah, Frank, you take innings, you take strikeouts. And he took whip as well, but I'll take everything else and then whoop the crap out of you in offensive stats. And that's what he did. He played incredibly well. And as much as we were kind of concerned about the draft of Costas, that he had that logjam with the catchers and JD Martinez that can only play utility, he's doing it well. He's doing it right. He's missing things here and there, sure, but he's compensating. There have been injuries that actually made his decisions easier. Not to mention, like, he's dealing with his own injuries, right? Like, the fact that McKenzie went down so early, Stanton is down. McCarthy, who was a very early draft pick, shipped to AAA. So, I mean, for what it's worth, the guy is really, really doing well with what was given to him. So a lot of credit right now. And this is an important win for Costas because this has been a pretty interesting rivalry over the last couple of years. And we were kind of, chomping at the bit, licking our chops, very curious to see how this would pan out. Who would get the W here? It's interesting that Costas gets the upper hand. And I love that these guys will play each other one more time.
I not only love that these guys will play each other one more time, I love that these guys are going to be sitting right next to each other at Biggs Conclave 2023 on Monday, June the 26th at Citi Field when the Mets take on the Milwaukee Brewers. Benjamin, we are in section 514 this year, and we will be sitting in all the 4 hosts will be in row 2. It sounds like there is a large section about 3 rows back where Frank and Costas have begun selecting. So guys, get in, get through the door, love it. Costas, you are just as much my number 1 this week for every single reason that Ben just, I'm sitting here looking at the exact same matchup going, oh, okay, I can mention that. Oh, Ben got it. All right, I can mention that. Oh, Ben got it. All right. Everything that Ben was saying, I was looking right at and gonna say too. So Costas, number 1, biggest win I've seen out of Costas in quite a while. And that's a really good one to get over such a big rival. I can't wait to hear all of the trash talk and trade possibilities that could happen 3 rows behind us in a month. This has been awesome. Benjamin, it is 2 in the morning. Thank you for being here with me, man.
It's a pleasure, Joe. And I'd like to close it out by, and I'll try to state this as eloquently as I can because I've been thinking it in my head, but it never actually comes out the way that you think it up. It was around Wednesday when I had this 15-4 or 15-5 lead or 14-5 lead, whatever it was. And I started to get a little bit emotional. Actually, I got really emotional. I was just sitting on the couch and just chilling and just taking it all in and thinking about what this league was in 2005, 2006, 2007, and what it has become and how it's taken a life of its own, from what you've done and from the rest of the guys. And I was, thinking back about last year and how Mike and I faced each other in the first round. And I think you remember, because we have it on video, of after that last out was made, and I kind of just get off the couch and I dropped to my knees when I knew that I won. And I'm in the semifinals again, and I beat that manager. There are certain guys, when you are playing against them, that you feel like you've turned the difficulty level on the video game to the most challenging. And that's what's really special, that you really feel like you're a kid playing the video game or playing chess, if that's what you did on the computer, and you've made it the most difficult on yourself that you can. And I remember even a couple of days later, you saying, "Damn it, Bobby, stop checking your tier." You said something like that, or like, "Stop getting it right." I think that there's a subconscious part of all of us that wants the challenge, that wants it to be the most challenging. And I think that's why this league has become what it is, because everybody, no matter, like, whether they can admit it or not, everyone wants a challenge. And if this was too easy for everyone, it wouldn't be fun. It just wouldn't be the same game. So that's basically what I wanted to say. Just that, like, it was really powerful for me to feel like, oh my God, like when I'm playing Mike Haber, I really feel like I have to pull out all the stops. Like, I really have to get it all right, because if I don't, the computer is going to beat me. And I think that's what guys like Bobby think, when he started this in 2018, and then it's 2021, 2022. Oh my God, like, I'm playing this guy who's different from this other guy, and this guy's more challenging. Why? And in the same vein, when you're playing against someone who isn't participating as much, when they're inactive, when they're not working as hard, yeah, you're going to get that win and you'll take it. But do you feel the same when you get that win? I personally don't. I always feel like when you're playing against the best, that's what makes you feel proud. That's what's special about this league. That's why we don't have to play for money. That's why we're playing for the trophy every single time, because that's what it's about. Having your name on that plaque, that's nirvana. Like, that's because you went through the gauntlet. You reached the top of the mountain, and what you had to do, what it takes to get there. Mike Haber has been in this league since 2007. I've gone through how many playoffs he's been in. He has one championship. One. He's been to 3 finals. Joe, you've been in the league a while. You've gotten 4 championships, right? But you were in the league in 2005. It took you till 2014 to get your first championship.
Yeah.
I've been in the playoffs every year besides 2014 and 2016 and 2018 since 2011. In 2012, in 2015, in 2017, in 2019, and 21 and 22, I had to play either you, Mike Haber, or both in all those seasons. Sometimes I won, sometimes I lost. But every single time when I get to that playoff, when I get to the end of the run, I know that at the end, the challenge is coming. The real big matchup is coming. And whoever gets through it is the most deserving champion. And I really hope that anyone that listened to the podcast listened long enough to hear this rant, because I'd like to hear their thoughts. As you and I have gone back and forth and said, and we talked to Jason about this, we talked to Mike here about this, is fantasy baseball more luck or more skill? And in the same note, is the bigs more luck or is it more skill? What's the ratio? Is it 60-40 luck to skill? I like to think that the bigs requires more skill than luck, and that we make our luck in this league. The challenge that we give ourselves every single week, and that brings us to a new level. We have to raise the level of our game when we're playing against great managers. That's what the bigs is all about. Getting better, being a more improved manager, having the insight and being able to figure out what is going to be the right decision every day to get a W. So that's how I'm going to close it out as best as I can. I wish I could have said it a little bit more eloquently, but I think I got the point across. So thank you for listening.
I think you nailed it, dude. Guys, come join us at Biggs Conclave 2023, 626 in City Field, Mets versus Brewers. Just come hang out with us. We love you guys. We wouldn't make this without you. We wouldn't have anything to do without this. So, Benji, you made the league. I made the podcast, but they make the content because it's been real. It's been fun. It's always real fun in the bigs. We'll see you guys next week.